Hey, welcome back to more Season 11 BS. I'm Ferrikster. Last week, I challenged my viewers to play out some games in Kanto Cup using any Kanto Starter, and with a backline of Gengar and Nidorino. Gengar and Nidorino because in the original Game Boy games, those were the two Pokemon that were featured in, I guess, the opening sequence of the game. And they're not super easy to use in such a hypnocentric meta. But my viewers did not disappoint, so the first set that I'm going to show you is sent in by Sizzle Doof. So, he is opening with Charizard. This Charizard is, well, I guess moveset hasn't been revealed yet, so I won't say anything about it. But leading into a Poliwrath obviously can't be good, especially when the Poliwrath is running Bubble, so he immediately switches into Gengar and is met with a Clefable, which isn't the most common thing to bring out into a Gengar in the first place. They correctly shield the Sludge Bomb, and yeah, Sizzle can just go for a second Sludge Bomb here and either take two of the opponent's shields and not having used any of his own, or will win Switch Advantage, which would be awfully nice to not have Poliwrath lined up with Charizard. Poliwrath going to come out and bubble Gengar the rest of the way down. So, Gengar and Nidorino do have a few overlapping weaknesses, notably just confusion. Hypno, pretty bad for this team. The Nidorino that Sizzle Doof is running, Nidorino has a lot of different ways that you could run it. It can know Poison Sting or Poison Jab. Since I know a lot of people aren't familiar, I should probably explain this. Nidorino learns Poison Sting and Poison Jab. So you can go for a Nidorino that is kind of, spammier, or one that puts on more fast move pressure. Sizzle opts for the Poison Sting variant, because he is packing a very expensive move in return. So with Sludge Bomb and Return as the charge moves of choice for this Nidorino, the CP being only at 1300 and something, maybe having Return will help Sizzle to overcome that. Also, the game is a little bit laggy this week. I don't know if it's any better this week, but last week anyway, it didn't seem to be at its most stable. Sometimes it just didn't care what you were trying to do. It just wanted to live its best life. And occasionally it did, in fact, do that. Like, it nerfed the opponent's Night Slash. Here, we're not sure if this return is actually going to go through or not. Sometimes when it lags like this, no bubbles end up getting hit, even if you hit all of them. Luckily for Sizzle Doof, does actually register everything, and the opponent stops attacking, possibly because they were demoralized by the state of the game, or possibly because they literally lagged to death. Regardless, especially during challenges, we take those. So yeah, Sizzle manages to take a very convincing, if scuffed, game one. So, hopping into this game two, against Takumi Max. Charizard into Hypno. Hypno, again, very bad for this backline, so this is definitely where you want to see it. Sizzle does lag here, and the Hypno doesn't, so just keeps attacking, and Sizzle definitely does not get nearly as many Dragon Breaths out as he wanted to, but this is fine, because fair is fair, and the opponent definitely lagged a whole bunch in the last game, and, sometimes the lag giveth, and sometimes it taketh away. That's kind of the give and take of RNG in general. Sometimes RNG will be favorable, and sometimes it just won't be. That's just the nature of how it works. The game's not out to get us, except for sometimes when it is. Other times it's out to get the other guy. So it evens out. The game, I'm sure, is very ambivalent towards each of us individually. Just, it's got to screw somebody. Sometimes it's going to be you. So in this game, it was definitely Sizzle Doof. Charizard went down, and the Hypno is still alive, so kind of rough for the backline here. Sizzle ends up actively swapping out to Nidorino. I'm guessing this is kind of planning to sack Nido here, which is unfortunate because I definitely like to imagine that Nidorino is totally a usable Pokemon. Definitely not something that I have just cursed my my viewership with using. And this Hypno barely hangs on. It just barely survives with a sliver of HP and is able to land that Ice Punch. And I can't help but point out that Sizzle would have been able to reach that last Poison Jab if he either had done a tiny bit more damage to the Hypno or had a tiny bit more HP. Either of those conditions could have been met by powering up your Pokemon to 1500 CP. I know Niantic would agree that that's probably the advice that Sizzle Doof needed. Have you tried powering up your Pokemon to 1500 CP? In this case, it didn't quite do it. Manages to catch a Brave Bird on Charizard, which is fantastic. But it's probably not going to be quite enough. Throws as many Shadow Claws as he can. Gonna have to throw this Sludge Bomb. It's not like the Shadow Punch would be enough to KO, even after double debuffing itself. Pidgeot. Immunity to resistance to Shadow Punch, it's just not going to be enough. And there turns out to be a Machamp in the back, so having a whole Gengar would have been nice. Maybe if Sizzle had been able to land that Sludge Bomb, if he had just been able to KO that Hypno, if only he had been able to do that one more HP of damage, then even when the game nerfed Sizzle by making his Charizard lag in the beginning, could maybe have pulled that game together. Anyway, on to this next game, Charizard into Graveler. So I have some personal experience with this matchup, although usually my Charizard has not been running Dragon Breath, so haven't personally run into Dragon Breath Charizard into Graveler before. In my imagination, it can't possibly be that good for Zard, but we'll see if we end up having to find out or not. He save swaps Nidorino, and the opponent brings in a Golbat, which is like not really commonly used, and if this Nidorino was running like Dig and Sludge Bomb, it would have absolutely no way of harming this Golbat. Luckily for Sizzle, he does have Return. The opponent is going to be able to survive that. I'm not sure if Nidorino, even at 1500, would be able to one-shot, so probably would have to throw a second move regardless. Gonna throw this Sludge Bomb as soon as he's got it. And yeah, either force a shield or take switch. Unfortunately, the opponent is going to be able to farm the whole way down and does have some energy here. See what Sizzle wants to do. Actually going to send out Gengar. And actually going to no-shield this, assuming that it's not a Shadow Ball. I'm not sure if Golbat actually has a Shadow Ball or not. I was not actually counting because I was talking instead. But I guess not, because they didn't manage to throw a second Poison Sting. So going to end up taking that out. And there is an invisible Blastoise that comes in. And apparently when your Pokemon is a ghost, the health bar remains totally untethered and just doesn't move around on the screen. It just remains in place. The Sludge Bomb lands, we can see that because the health bar is right there in our faces. And then, yeah, gonna actively swap out into Charizard. The opponent's Graveler comes in, or maybe it was the other way around and the Graveler swapped in and then Charizard got swapped into it. I'm not sure which of those actions happened in which direction. Either way, Charizard not having the most play against either of these two remaining Pokemon, but I guess definitely better to have it locked in against Graveler than against the Water Gun Blastoise. I kind of have to assume that the Blastoise is Water Gun. All we see is a health bar, but, you know, I'll take the game's word for it. So just barely able to make to this Dragon Claw, literally just one turn extra, and that last Volt Switch would KO. So managing to get this off is absolutely huge. Actually just enough to take them out, and Blastoise is going to come back out with this floating health bar of a Blastoise going to come out. And yeah, Gengar going to be able to reach the Shadow Punch, and the opponent is going to resign the game, not wanting their Ghost Toys to get taken out. It was actually a Gengar against another Ghost, so kind of some kind of a Gengar mirror there, I guess. Ghost versus Ghost. But yeah, I digress. That was a GG. Like, actually very well played by both sides. You know, despite the Blastoise being completely invisible, I have no idea why the wireframe wouldn't load. But yeah, that's fine. This is the game we know and love, and it is behaving pretty much, you know, the way we've come to expect. So into this next game, Alolan Raticate in the lead. I tried running Alolan Raticate in Kanto Cup a few iterations ago, I guess. It's been a while. And I was never really impressed with it. It just felt like it lost a lot of neutral-ish matchups. Like, without type advantage, Alolan Raticate, I swear, it's just not that great. It's very good at biting down a Hypno and stuff. But even this Charizard here is probably going to be able to take it out. This next Dragon Claw, I think, is going to be enough to take them out unless they shield. The opponent does decide to shield, so see what they want to do. I'm imagining Sizzle's going to shield and farm down. That's probably the play at this point, and that looks like it is what he's going to do. Shielding this crunch, and the opponent actually actively swaps out into Marowak, so not enabling the farm down, and I guess we'll see how that ends up turning out. Usually when the opponent does something like this, I assume that they have a stronger counter to my lead in the back, so maybe that's what the opponent has here. Regardless, Sizzle going to switch out into Gengar right away. The opponent decides to throw at 4, so this can actually only be a Bone Club. Could have thrown one more Fire Spin and thrown a... I guess they wouldn't have made it. Looks like Gengar would have reached the move. So Sizzle's going to wait for the absolute last second, getting as much energy as possible on Gengar before throwing this Shadow Punch. It'll be difficult to throw one Shadow Claw and make it to something unless they send in something that's using like a normal type move like Quick Attack, because Alolan Raticate comes back out, and this is going to end up having to eat this Shadow Punch. Shadow Punch, triple resisted by Raticate though, so actually does kind of nothing. The Shadow Claw also not really doing very much. Going to send out Nidorino, who is not able to farm down because the opponent switches out into Beedrill. Beedrill is kind of strong against Nidorino. I mean, Nidorino obviously going to get completely one-shotted by the Drill Run. Misses a few of the bubbles, not because of any player error, just some of the bubbles just didn't feel like appearing. Like I said, the game is absolutely living its best life, and it's not going to let a little thing like what we want get in its way. So Charizard survives a Drill Run, able to get in an extra Dragon Breath or two, and that actually is exactly what this Nidorino needs to be able to Poison Jab the rest of the way down, and able to Poison Jab down the Alolan Raticate. And Sizzle manages to take that game. That is a GG. This set is going very well. And yeah, on into this next game. Game is absolutely operating at full potential. Like, this might very well be Pokemon Go's final form. I have never seen it operating as smoothly as it has been for this set. So, Charizard into NidoKing. This is actually not a great matchup for Charizard. The opponent is going to switch out, though, into Dragonair, which would be great against a Charizard that wasn't running Dragon Breath, but that is exactly what Sizzle has. And Charizard actually gets to the Dragon Claw at the exact same rate that a Dragonair reaches the Aqua Tail. But Charizard's going to win CMP, so able to set the tone here since the opponent shielded to survive the Dragon Claw so they could throw that. Sizzle's just going to shield and going to be able to farm the whole way down, and with almost a full Dragon Claw ready to go. So a shield was spent, an entire Pokemon was taken down, and this Charizard has a bunch of energy. So going to build up 2 and then throw the Blast Burn. Not going to be able to throw 2 Dragon Claws regardless, so makes sense to just throw the nuke, see what the opponent wants to do, and they are going to shield. And Sizzle stays in, lets himself get farmed down, and that is alright. So this NidoKing has an energy lead, but Gengar resists poison at least, so no real threat except for the Earth Power. Going to shield this Poison Fang bait because, you know, it's just what you do. If you don't shield it, it's going to turn out to be the Earth Power. It's just Schrodinger's charge move. So, yeah. Gonna have to shield that bait. And, yeah, gonna throw the Shadow Punch. It's almost enough to take out NidoKing. And NidoKing gonna stay in. Able to get to this last move here. I'm not sure if they reached the Earth Power or not. Since they end up just throwing the Poison Fang, I guess they were one off. And the opponent switches out into Hypno. Hypno gets a confusion through. So recently, as of a few weeks ago with the most recent update to the game, it has not been possible to transfer fast move damage anymore, even though that Gengar threw in the middle of the confusion after one Shadow Claw. And then swapped out immediately. The confusion, as you can see by Gengar's health, still managed to land. And nearly take out Gengar. It's just fast move damage no longer seems to be able to be transferred. Like, I've experienced the same thing in my games. I'm not thrilled about that change because I think it takes away some player choice as to whether you want to transfer a move or not. Now it just forcibly will never transfer. And I think, you know, having more options for how you want to proceed in a match tends to lend itself to, you know, more of a strategic game. Whereas if you take away all of those functions, game kind of ends up being ruled a little bit more by luck, and just it takes some of the skill out. I'm not saying it takes a lot of it out, but it takes some of it out. I don't know why we would want to take any of it out. just my 2 cents on that matter. I'm gonna let it go and go back to casting. So yeah, into this next set by Shuckle Pounder, who has been in here recently, and I mispronounced his name last time. Found out it is in fact Shuckle Pounder. No innuendo or anything, just something that hammers the shuckles. They're rocks. It's like a rock hammer or something. Think of Shuckle like that. He's a rock hammer. So he is actually for his starter. He has chosen to run with Venusaur. So running a triple poison team in a hypno-centric meta. But he manages to get a positive set with it. So I am eager to see how that plays out. Eager to see what you do about a hypno when there is a hypno on the other team, because there is one here. And I mean, he is dealing with it. So Venusaur just going to spam out its next Frenzy Plant that is going to take Hypno down. And yeah, still has a shield. But the opponent has 2 Pokemon. So NidoKing comes out. They are going to win CMP here. So Shuckle actually swaps out into Nidorino to catch this Poison Fang. That is a super helpful move. And he's got the Frenzy Plant banked. So yeah. Has some variety of how he's going to proceed. The Nidorino that he has opted to run is running, looks like Poison Sting with Sludge Bomb and Dig. Did not have a purified Nidorino. This Nidorino, I think, also is even smaller than the last Nidorino. This Nidorino is at 1252. So an even smaller Nidorino than the last one, which is like 13.5. This one is at 12.5. Nidorino, for what it's worth, I understand not wanting to spend. It is a prohibitively expensive Pokemon. The rank 1 Nidorino is like a 715, is like I think an 815 or something of that nature. And yeah, get to level 50. You can definitely run one that gets to level 51, and it'll be slightly better at like 615. But then you have to best buddy it and, have all that's a lot of time investment on top of the other expenses of building a Nidorino, like, 400 and something thousand dust. If you were to build a Nidorino from scratch that, went all the way to level 50, it would be a very expensive thing to do. So you can definitely understand running one at 1252, and it seems to be enough at least some of the time. So see how this progresses. Alright, into this next game against Wilk. Come on, Shuckle. Come on, Nidorino. You've got this. Venusaur into Haunter. This is obviously not a great matchup for Venusaur. Haunter resists grass. So I'm going to switch out to Gengar. And yeah, the Haunter decides to throw its move. So since we snuck in a Shadow Claw, or since Shuckle snuck in a Shadow Claw, and it is going to register, you can't transfer it anymore, even if they swap out. That means that Haunter has taken that Shadow Claw of damage, so is super low in farm down range for anything, and not going to have enough energy to reach anything. So the Haunter that's in the back is really only useful for making a catch at this point. And now Shuckle is just going to unload all of this energy in the form of Shadow Punches into the Sandslash, and gets one shield and the other one lands. So, and then manages to go down. Unfortunately, we don't really have any amazing answer to a Sandslash, I guess. So gonna send out Nidorino. Sandslash double resists poison, so the Poison Stings are gonna do nothing, and Poison Sting by default does no damage already. So it's doing even less than that now. Almost healing the Sandslash with the Poison Stings. Throws a double resisted Sludge Bomb. Sandslash has immunity tier resistance to poison, so doesn't really do that much damage there. And yeah, gonna take this Ice Punch, kind of, maybe sort of sacking the Nidorino there, which is unfortunate. I swear Nidorino, it totally, definitely has play and stuff against some things, maybe not against the Sandslash. Also gonna no-shield this Ice Punch, which is gonna do kind of a lot. Venusaur getting awfully low. The opponent switches into Haunter to try to catch a move, but just ends up providing some farm. And then Sandslash is going to come out and get farmed down also. So is there, in fact, hope here? A Poliwrath is in the back. So I mean, gonna throw this one Frenzy Plant. Poliwrath is kind of thick. Is Frenzy Plant enough to one-shot a Poliwrath? Not actually sure. About to find out the hard way, though. It's how I do most of my learning anyway. Frenzy Plant comes through, and it is actually enough to take out the Poliwrath. So amazing! I was quite confident that Shuckle was dead there, but apparently he was fine. Nidorino definitely carrying the team, sort of. I mean, it did at least what 10% of Sandslash's health. It was it was necessary. If Nidorino was not there, this game would not have been won. Pretty sure. Right? Nidorino sponged damage. Sometimes that's all you need is a sponge. All right, so against Nidoqueen in the lead, gonna swap out to Nidorino, and the opponent could definitely have stayed in and been fine, but opts to swap out into Marowak. Shuckle just gonna go straight for the dig, not looking to bait this Marowak because kind of expecting them not to shield. What with, you know, the Nidorino is small and not terribly threatening looking, like you're gonna assume a no shield, right? So this dig gonna come through from this 1252 CP Nidorino. How much will dig do? It costs literally like 80 energy. We are not going to find out because it just doesn't land. Opponent shields it. I don't know. Like normally the recommended moveset, by the way, for Nidorino, according to PvPoke, is to run it with Sludge Bomb and Horn Attack. Neither of which does anything to Marowak, which was a counter swap, something that was swapped into Nidorino. I cannot believe they shielded the dig. So Gengar going to end up shielding, and then going to switch out into Venusaur to catch a Bone Club. So fantastic catch, but now the problem is that we've got Venusaur lined up with a Marowak. So I'm not going to go for a huge farm down, I guess. At this point, kind of committed. I'm going to have to shield this move, because if this is a Shadow Bone, it takes out Venusaur, and it's actually a Shadow Ball, so takes out Venusaur. Gengar gonna come back out. Gonna throw this Shadow Punch against Nidoqueen. Gengar is pretty decent against Nidoqueen, but not like amazing against Nido. So they're gonna shield the first Shadow Claw, the first Shadow Punch, which is fine. That's definitely, I guess, what you'd want. And Shuckle gonna no shield this Poison Fang. I mean, the opponent's not baiting or anything. It's just they're going straight Poison Fang, so we know what it is. And I think maybe going for Double Punch would probably be the move, but Shuckle deciding to just go for the Focus Blast because he's got it, and it actually kind of like KOs anyway. Oh my gosh. I guess it didn't make any difference if it was going to KO anyway. Unfortunately, there was a Wigglytuff in the back, so even though we are running a triple poison team, the triple poison team falls to the Charmer in the end. That is demoralizing. Oh my gosh, that's terrible. That's awful. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry I made you build this Nidorino, Shuckle. All right, so Venusaur into Nidoqueen. This time it's a Shadow Queen. That I think actually makes this slightly better, because Shadow Nidoqueen gets taken out by a Frenzy Plant. Regardless, Shuckle gonna insta swap out into Nidorino, using Nidorino as the safe swap, and just gonna build up some excess energy. Not gonna shield this first move. Very confident that it's going to turn out to be a Poison Fang. I'm not sure if they built up to an Earth Power or not, but Nidoqueen always throws the Poison Fang bait anyway. So the game is going to lag, think about what it wants to do, and then going to let the dig go through. So, by the way, dig one-shots Shadow Nidoqueen if your Nidorino is full size. At 1200 CP, I'm actually not sure if it would be enough, but we're not going to find out because the opponent opts to shield. And just going to throw their next Poison Fang and then going to farm down. So Nidorino has definitely succeeded in acquiring one shield and in doing 20% of Nidoqueen's health in damage. So that's something, right? It's not nothing. Nidorino did his part. He is carrying his weight. If he had more weight to carry, might be able to carry it farther, but at 1200 CP, it's carrying all the weight that it's providing to the team. That's all carrying your own weight really is, being able to walk yourself. Carry yourself. Walk. That's carrying your own weight. Nidorino did that. This was fine. Nidorino did a good job. So, gonna shield this Venusaur against Ivysaur's Sludge Bomb, which is, yeah, kind of necessary. I mean, Sludge Bomb hits for neutral, does a pretty decent chunk of damage. Ivysaur is kind of tanky, actually, in Great League. It's a pretty bulky Pokemon. So this Sludge Bomb is not actually enough to KO. Not undercharged at all either, but kind of a perfect amount of damage to do because, you know, able to farm down. Venusaur now has a ton of energy. NidoKing is going to come back out, and NidoKing will definitely not be able to survive a Frenzy Plant from this range. Going to hit for neutral, and Frenzy Plant hits like a truck. So, going to get that shield and just spam out the next Frenzy Plant right away, not wanting to have to shield a Poison Fang or anything like that, not wanting to get debuffed either. Just going to land that next Frenzy Plant, takes them out, and there is a Marowak in the back. Why did Marowak not come out against Venusaur? I'm not sure. So, going to be able to reach this Frenzy Plant. This is going to do not nothing. I mean, it's single resisted, but again, hits very, very hard. So even a bulky Pokemon like Marowak that is resisting grass is still going to take a decent chunk unless the game decides that it doesn't want to give you any damage at all, which is exactly what the game decided. It decided that it doesn't care how many bubbles you hit. It's going to pretend you hit none of them. Because the game is living its best damn life, and it doesn't care what any of us want. Thankfully, Shuckle had the foresight to not rely on the game operating properly, so he just built up tons and tons of energy on all of his Pokemon, so was just able to unload double Shadow Punches with these Gengar against that Marowak, and was able to take that very scuffed round. That is a GG. The game tried to hold back this team, but Triple Poison and Nidorino, they're just way too strong. Although maybe it's possible that Venusaur carried that game. It's possible that Venusaur carried that game. All right, Venusaur into Alolan Ninetales. If this Ninetales is running Charm, then this is a fantastic lead. If it's running Powder Snow, then it's not so fantastic. So, yeah, insta-swapped out to Nidorino, and yeah, they were actually running Powder Snow. So, I guess just very good instincts from Shuckle. So gonna no shield this Psyshock, and it nearly takes it's for super effective, so it nearly takes Nidorino out. Nidorino gonna throw this Sludge Bomb, forces the shield out of the opponent, and yeah, Nidorino is gonna do the thing that it does when it uses a safe swap, which is apparently take one shield and do not that much damage. And his Ninetales does have some energy built up, so this isn't the most safest place to send Venusaur in. So yeah, sends out Gengar, and the opponent swaps out into their Vaporeon. Why would you have a Vaporeon here? I don't know. But, you know, in the opponent's defense, we are running Nidorino, so I'm sure there's a very good reason why they're using Vaporeon. Maybe some content creator somewhere challenged his viewers to use it. I have no idea. But since the opponent actively swapped out and our switch timer was nearly up, Shuckle is able to get his Venusaur out and lined up with this Vaporeon, and Venusaur going to go for a huge farm down. I have to say, Shuckle actually has been very good about just not, you know, panicking about using his shields, saving his shields, and building up tons and tons of energy, going for huge farm downs with a lot of his Pokemon, and that seems to have been absolutely pivotal in these games. So now we have, again, a Venusaur with 100 energy, a shield left, not a ton of health, but a lot of energy, and Gengar has energy too. So what is going to come out? It is a Magneton, which hilariously, actually, yeah, resists all of Venusaur's moves. So, gonna throw this Frenzy Plant. It does a lot, even though it's resisted, does more than half of Magneton's health. Gonna build up more energy, getting close to a second Frenzy Plant. Gonna have to shield this, I mean, unless you want to lose all of that delicious, delicious energy, and I don't think you wanna. So going to throw that, and now going to undercharge this Frenzy Plant so that it does not KO, so that Venusaur will be able to farm the rest of the way down. Magneton does end up pretty low, and yeah, actually Venusaur is able to farm down the whole way, and ends with like almost no health. So almost gets taken out there, gonna bring in Gengar, and now just going to throw this Shadow Punch. This is not actually going to be enough to take Ninetales out, but it would bring them awfully low, and we've got another Shadow Punch loaded, but this was a CMP from the opponent. They were throwing their Weather Ball, so that is going to take Gengar out. But that means that Ninetales doesn't have energy, so Venusaur is going to be able to come in, unload this Sludge Bomb, super effective Sludge Bomb, lands the Sludge Bomb on the Alolan Ninetales, and manages again to take that game for an actually fantastic end to that series. That is a GG. Yo, those games were really well played. That was a fun series to watch. So that was a 3-2, and yeah, positive set. Can't complain about that. And Shuckle is going to not show us what Pokemon he gets, but that's okay. I'll just assume it was whatever legendary we had a few days ago. So into this next set, provided by me. This is my set. And coincidentally, since we had someone running Charizard and someone running Venusaur, I ended up running Blastoise. These decisions were made independently, by the way. Just, you know, the sets that I were sent in happened to be showcasing each starter individually. Did not cherry pick these. These were just the best sets that I got. So, I am also running a Nidorino with Poison Sting, Sludge Bomb, and Dig, although my Nidorino is big. It is a big, expensive Pokemon. I actually had quite a lot to think about when I was building this Nidorino. Like, the Nidorino before you is a rank 2 non-best buddy Nidorino. And I also have the rank 1 non-best buddy Nidorino, but it would have cost an extra 100,000 dust. And the CP would have been uglier. It would have been like 14... like 93 or something. It's crazy that that's the rank 1. But, yeah, it's like 1492 or 93 or something. It's a lot of CP that's missing. So I just went with the rank 2, which has, you know, a more attractive 1499 CP. And also that means that, you know, my Nidorino will be able to win CMP against a rank 1 non-best buddy Nidorino. So, you know, when I find that opponent that has Nidorino, I'll know that I'll either be able to outbulk them with my rank 2 Ness or win CMP. Like, it's not going to go both ways where, you know, it's going to be one or the other. I'll either outbulk them or I'll win CMP. I think that's most cases. So I go straight Sludge Bomb against this Ninetales that comes in against me. And then the opponent is going to bring back out their NidoKing. So I still have 2 shields. Not a ton of health, though. My Gengar is just going to throw this Shadow Punch, and this is actually going to be kind of enough, I think, to take out a Shadow NidoKing or bring it super, super low. No, it is enough to take them out. Lickitung is going to come out and lick the rest of the way down. And, yeah, now I have my Blastoise with 2 shields lined up with this Lickitung that does have some energy from that farm down, but, I mean, they didn't get a ton of farm on Gengar. I was kind of asking myself at the time, why didn't they just send Lickitung out against Gengar? I think it's just that they were trying to keep their NidoKing away from Blastoise. I don't know if I agree with the trainer's decision to play this out in that way. But I mean, I found it very agreeable at the time because, you know, it kept the Lickitung away from my Gengar. Lickitung is incredibly bad for Gengar. Just really, really completely walls it. Can't do anything. Able to reach this last Hydro Cannon, I am going to throw it because I am super paranoid that this Lickitung is just 1 lick away from a Body Slam, because it always just feels like that. They get to that way too fast. And I managed to take that first game. That is a GG. So, yeah, as I was saying, Lickitung. Lickitung is very, very strong. We haven't seen a ton of them in my the other 2 sets that I saw. But, yeah, I guess I'm kind of playing these battles kind of high up because I was seeing quite a few Lickitung, and that is a very expensive, very meta Pokemon. Not as expensive, actually, identically as expensive as Nidorino. But why would you want a Lickitung when you could have a Nidorino instead? Right? Nidorino is so good, useful in so many leagues. So many cups. Nidorino, it's so meta, I guess. It's borderline usable. So, against the Shadow Snorlax in the lead, again, I have to stay in. Like, I like the idea of switching out to try to bait out, like, a Snorlax or something. But, you know, can't switch out into my Gengar here because, you know, the licks are just absolutely devastating. So forced to stay in, and there's a Hypno in the back, which is not where I want to see it with this team, not at all. Like, Blastoise isn't even amazing against Hypno, because, you know, Hypnos are almost universally running Thunder Punch. So I get Confusion the whole way down. And now this Hypno has energy and a decent chunk of health. I'm able to sneak into Shadow Claw with Gengar, which is nice, I guess. Gonna have to shield this Thunder Punch. I'm able to get to this next Shadow Punch and able to deny their confusion, so that's something. See what my opponent wants to do here, and they decide to shield, and I insta-switch out, and my opponent does the same thing. I really wish I would have stayed in a little bit longer to get, like, 2 Shadow Punches, or 2 Shadow Claws, so that I could bank a punch. That would make this a lot safer. I was not expecting the opponent to switch out like that. They switch out into their NidoQueen and throw the, and go for, just go straight Poison Jab, or Poison Fang. So I wanted to try to build up as much excess energy as I can, but Dig, incidentally, costs as much as a Solar Beam, literally, 80 energy. So I'm actually already built up to 100 energy, and I was throwing 2 extra Poison Fangs for nothing. I could maybe have tried to undercharge this so that they would survive, but like I did not trust myself to calculate that right. I was hoping I would be able to survive 2 Confusions and get to the Sludge Bomb, but I'm not quite able to make it. And if I can throw 2 Shadow Claws, I'd be able to take out this Hypno also, get to the Shadow Punch, but alas, not able to make it. This Hypno has a bunch of energy, goes for the Shadow Ball BM, but I'm sure I deserved it. I'm running Nidorino. So yeah, that's a GG. I had win conditions. It's not like Nidorino is unusable. It's just, I don't know, that was just unlucky the way the fast move and charge move things. Unfortunate the way the game turned out. I'll just leave it at that. So switching in Gengar against the fighter, and end up met with an Alolan Sandshrew. So Alolan Sandshrew, another very expensive Pokemon, needs to be XL, should be all the way up at level 51. I think this one is already best buddied, yes. So huge Sandshrew. I'm going to no-shield this because I was thinking, you know, I'm sure I survived this Night Slash, and I mean, technically I wasn't wrong. Like, I did sort of survive it. It just wasn't the most significant survive I've ever done. So I did get a shield from with Gengar though, and yeah, maybe didn't do the most damage or anything. But Nidorino is actually pretty decent against Machamp. Wins in even shields for the most part, I think, unless it gets baited a bunch of times and they land a Rock Slide. But definitely wins in the zeros, so I'm not super concerned about that. And since my opponent's already down a shield and I have shields, I've already decided that, you know what, I am just going to Water Gun this Sandshrew the whole way down. I do not care. If I have to spend a shield to do it, it's fine. So can easily spend this shield, just keep myself healthy just so I'm not in like counter snipe range. And they actually swap out to an Alolan Sandslash. So Machamp double Alolan Hedgehog. Yeah, I'm just going to throw that Hydro Cannon and then spam out my next one right away also. This will put the Sandslash incredibly low, which I actually kind of need to do. If they were to shield this, it would honestly not be great for me. Thankfully, they decide that they're going to save their shield for Machamp, and I am totally fine with that. They're going to take me out here, and they're super low, which wouldn't provide a ton of farm for many things, but Nidorino does, like, no damage with its Poison Sting to something that resists poison, so I'm actually able to get, you know, 2 full Poison Stings of farm, which I guess still not a ton of farm, but not nothing. So I do actually have an energy lead, so I'm going to be able to reach the Sludge Bomb before the Machamp is able to throw anything that could possibly be a Rock Slide. I was considering no shielding this, assuming a cross chop bait, but decided to shield, and it was in fact the Rock Slide, so fantastic shield from me, and now I am throwing this Sludge Bomb. This would definitely KO Machamp because, again, my Nidorino, it is huge, and they actually let it go, and it does take out the Machamp, putting everything that they've got on Sandshrew, which is super difficult to farm the whole way down, so I'm actually going to throw this Sludge Bomb and kind of hoping that I'm going to reach the next Sludge Bomb before they're able to throw something. They are building up a ton of energy. It's not like one They might be building up to either back-to-back Night Slash or to a Blizzard. Either of those would be able to take me out. But I am able to reach the last Sludge Bomb before they're able to get to their second Night Slash. I think they actually just got the energy for back-to-back Night Slash there, so if I was any further behind, I wouldn't be able to take them out. But Nidorino able to win CMP there and able to take them out before they're able to throw their moves. So, managed to take that game. That is a GG. It's actually a crazy, crazy close game, though. It was only after I had watched it after the fact that I was like, why didn't they throw? And realized it was because they just reached the energy there. At the time, it felt like, wow, they have so much energy, there's no way there isn't. So, Blastoise Mirror, and the opponent insta-switches out to a Machoke, and I insta-switch out to a Gengar. So my opponent is definitely looking at this like this is clearly an ABB team, and there's a Haunter back there, and I am definitely looking at this like this is clearly an ABB team. There's a Machamp back there. Because that's really, really what it looks like to both of us. Opponent stops attacking. Probably the game was just lagging a little bit, and now they're going to throw their move. I know Machoke can learn, I believe, Stone Edge, but this one is actually running Return. So Return and presumably some fighting move, both of which double or triple resisted by Gengar. So Shield did something, double resisted, but it is what it is. I just wanted to be absolutely sure that I'd keep Gengar, and Gengar with a ton of energy can threaten kind of anything. Yes, because it can also learn so many things. Gengar has 7 charge moves to pick from, and I think like 5 of them are totally usable moves to, and that makes sense to run. So I landed a Shadow Punch, and then my opponent shielded a Sludge Bomb. Unfortunate for me that it wasn't the opposite of that, but that's fine as long as I'm able to get this damage off or get this energy off, so I'm able to throw this last Shadow Punch. I get the last shield from this Blastoise, so opponent has no shields, and I should just be able to reach this Shadow Punch, but I'm not quite able to throw it. I go down with the energy for that move. Very unfortunate for me. I'm just going to send out my own Blastoise, though, and since the opponent does not end up just spamming out a Skull Bash, I assume immediately that they do not have it. So there does turn out to be a Machamp back there. This is exactly what I expected it to be when I saw the Machoke. Yeah, so I'm just going to shield that Cross Chop. I know it's going to do a lot more damage than a Hydro Cannon will, and I am already assuming that my opponent does not have the Skull Bash, because otherwise I feel like they would have stayed in and thrown it. Blastoise is going to come back out. If this is a Skull Bash, I think it might almost take me out, so I am prepared to switch into Nidorino if I have to. Just to kind of prove to my opponent that I'm not just running, that there's not a Haunter back there, that this wasn't Blastoise Double Ghost. But yeah, my opponent resigns the game because they are just going to get water gunned down by my Blastoise. So I managed to take that, and that is a GG. Alright, next up against Regigigasaurio. Blastoise into Alolan Ninetales. So if this is Powder Snow, it's fantastic for me. If it's Charm, it's still decent. This one happens to be running Charm. So Charm is going to do quite a lot of damage, but obviously I'm not really as concerned about getting hit with something like a Weather Ball, although a Psy Shock will kind of chip, and a Dazzling Gleam hurts a lot. So they're going to shield the Hydro Cannon, and Blastoise does outpace. So like, here they reach a charge move, and I could 100% just shield and then throw a Hydro Cannon. You know, in case my opponent turns out to have something in the back like, you know, a Hypno or something. Something that would be very strong against the 2 poison types I have left. You know, it might have made sense to maybe switch out to one of them at some point. You know, just in case there's a Hypno back there. Just in case. So, this Ninetales is built up to a lot of energy, and since I already got hit with one Psy Shock, I'm just going to shield here. Turns out to be a Weather Ball bait. Not sure if they're going to be able to reach another Weather Ball. They probably get the energy just as they go down there, but not able to throw it. And there's a Hypno in the back, so I'm at 100 energy with Nidorino, which is helpful. I am going to spam out this Sludge Bomb, and then just going to throw the next one. Their Confusion goes through. I do manage to deny Confusion here, so Nidorino will have a little bit of health left. If they decide to shield this, I'm probably going to have to switch out to my Gengar, because Nidorino's definitely not going to be able to reach another move. So they do shield that. I switch out into my Gengar. And I am not able to sneak in an extra Shadow Claw, which is unfortunate. I am going to have to shield this because it will KO me, even if it's just some punch. which it definitely is. And there is a Machamp in the back, so this is actually great for me. I throw 5 Shadow Claws, so right as they are getting the energy for their Cross Chop, since I don't want to take that damage because I think I might still be able to just barely survive a Confusion, able to land that Sludge Bomb. I throw my 2 Shadow Punches, reach the Shadow, or throw my 2 Shadow Claws, reach the Shadow Punch, and I'm able to throw this as they sneak in their last Confusion, which would obviously KO me. Gengar barely survived. I think that's actually 1 or 2 HP because Gengar doesn't have a ton of HP, so every pixel is more health. It takes a couple of pixels on Gengar's health bar to make up 1 HP, so incredibly close game and an incredibly close set, but I do manage to pull that out to a 4-1 myself, so yeah. Actually, honestly, like, the team wasn't maybe the most solid team I've ever built for Kanto Cup, because I have built very solid Kanto Cup teams in the past. But this team was a ton of fun to run, which is totally appropriate if the game is, you know, going to be doing whatever it wants anyway, and if this season doesn't really matter. Makes sense to just kind of run a fun team. So, no challenge for next week, because I am going on vacation. This Friday, I'm flying out to Jordan. I have a wedding to go to there, and I'm going to be there for a week. So probably not going to be making much in the ways of content, although I frequently take about a week to make a video anyway. I'm very sorry. But, yeah, maybe I'll update with, like, I don't know, drop some, like, travel blog-like content or something. Very, very lightly edited, if edited at all. Probably not edited at all. Maybe. Maybe I'll make something. I don't know, I haven't decided. So I probably shouldn't tease the idea. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to do the things you know you're supposed to do at the ends of all of everyone's videos. You know what you're supposed to do, so please do the things. Helps me out a ton. Viewership has sucked this season because the season doesn't matter, so, you know, it's hard to care if, you know, yeah. So I'll see you then.